Hey, how's it going, y'all? This is Ayo Carpenter coming at you with another deck profile. And this is going to be my first place store championship queen deck profile. And the key for me winning this store championship was pretty much grind out with all my opponents as much as I can, put my big characters on board, and then just pretty much, out exhaust my opponents, gain more life each and every turn, and just put more big threats on the board and just take them out that way. To quickly go over my matchups, first round was against Nami, second round was against Yellow Black Big Mom, third matchup was against Purple Yellow Crocodile, and then the final matchup was against Pure Yellow Big Mom. And yeah, Queen has a crazy effect. It's when you have a combined total of 4 cards between your life and your hand, you can draw a card. But if you have a character that's cost 8 or more, you can gain a life instead, just by placing 1 down on him. And this is how we grind out with our opponents. And we're going to play cards that fix our hand, that lets us look through the deck. And with this deck, you really have to plan 3 or 4 turns ahead. It's a really big brain deck. You really have to think. It's not a deck for beginners. It's very unforgiving for beginners. One mistake can really just cost you your entire match. You really have to plan ahead, think carefully with this deck. You know me, I'm a red player, so you know what we like to do. We just like to spam characters, rush, go swing wide, so put big guys on the board, just go, just not really too much thinking when it comes to red. But with this deck here, I would say it's definitely made me a better player overall. Just having to think about my turns ahead of time, and just try not to make as few mistakes as possible, because you make a mistake with the queen, it could really cost you the game. So without further ado, let's get into the lineup here, and we're gonna start it off with for Kaya. Self-explanatory. She's the hand fixer for your deck. She's going to draw you 2, then trash 2 cards out of your hand. So she's going to get you to the cards that you need to see, but then help you get rid of the cards that you don't need to see in the early game, and that's why she's very valuable. And then next up for the 1-drops, this is going to be Perona, one of the planners for the deck. You're going to search the top 5. You're going to look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and then you can either keep them at the top or place them at the bottom, and then rearrange them at any order. So this is going back to what I said about you having to plan 3 or 4, 5, maybe 5 turns ahead of time with Perona. And she's really just a cheap card to get out of your hand. She's not going to be better than the next card here, which is a 3-drop blocker Dofi. Pretty much the same effect as Perona, but even better, because this deck, I have this built to go first. So on the next turn, on turn 2, when you hit 3 down, you just drop this, and then it's going to do the same thing as Perona. Look at that top 5, and then start rearranging or start throwing at the bottom. But it's a blocker, which is going to help you with your defense and just grind with your opponent. So he's very, very valuable. And moving on, this is going to be our trigger lineup for the deck here. So for Boa, for Charlotte Brûlée, for 2K Beji, for Blocker Sanji, and then to round this off, it's going to be for Charlotte Cracker. So when you're using Queen's effect in combination with your Dofi or Perona, and when you get to that end game, your best triggers for this deck is gonna be, of course, your cheap baby blockers here, which is gonna be the Boa Hancock and the Charlotte Brûlée. So when you get to that end game, and when you start when you're doing the stacking of your deck, and you're down and you're able to use Queen's Effect, what you're gonna want to do is just make sure like each draw is going to be like probably like a counter, or each draw is going to be like a counter or a big guy, and then when you use the effect, like the very next card is going to be one of these triggers here. Preferably like the like I said, the just the cheap blockers, like the 3-drop blockers. But Veggie, he comes up sometimes when you just need to like stop your opponent from making that critical attack. And then our Sanji here, he can come up too. The triggers for Sanji and Cracker, they're a little worse, but with this deck, you don't care because he's just gonna the trash one card out of your hand to play it. It's only gonna help you facilitate and get to your win condition here, which is to just add more life to your just add more life really. So, and yeah, Sanji's just another blocker to like help you grind with your opponent. And then I play, this is really just a flex tech choice for me. I play the Cracker to really just apply pressure to my opponent. These games with Queen and testing in during the tournament, they was really grindy. I have to say they was really grindy. And you know me, I'm a red player, and I have to play something to just apply pressure to my opponent. So I think the Cracker really helps facilitate that for me in this build here, because I can just I can play this off the trigger, and then I'm always gonna be. You should always be at less life than your opponent. So he's just the pressure. You just place a Donut on him, and then you just swing 7. You don't have to necessarily go for your opponent's leader, but you can just go for like any like characters that are just annoying, and they're gonna be, your opponent is like most likely gonna be focusing on this card most of the match. So that's why so he also kind of serves as your blocker as well. And with that, we're gonna go into our top end of the deck, of this deck here. We're gonna start with 3 of the Charlotte Katakuri, 4 of the non-drop Yamato, and then 3 of the 9-drop Mihawk. So with these, pretty self-explanatory. The ratios are a little bit weird. I don't run off all of these at 4, so I don't run the Dracula Mihawk at 4 and the Katakuri at 4 because they tend to be a bit too bricky. I feel like in testing, when I was testing it, I think these are like kind of like a good ratio for me right now. I may consider bumping up the Katakuri to 4. I personally like it, but 3 is optimal. Yamato is the best 9-drop for this deck. It's pretty much like a pseudo queen, where you have to if you're at 1 life or less, then you just gain a life, and then its first effect, her first effect, has a nice KO, which KO ability, which if your opponent and you 8 KOs, the cost of a character between the life of you and your opponent. So I KO 5-drop characters like Law, stuff that you can, if your opponent, it's a really good card if your opponent's playing stingy, if that's how best I can explain it. The Mihawk, he's kind of alright. His bottom deck effect is good. However, if your opponent has already established a big board, sure, you can probably get rid of 1 of their threats, but it's not going to really help you with getting rid of all of their like threats. So, and and it's kind of like the slowest one out of these. The category is like the next best one for me, because like you play it, you just send back a threat, the 8 cost or less. And typically with Queen, what you want to do is when you play the category, you want to give your opponent one of their like non-counters and put put that card at the bottom of their life. But in the mirror match, you always want to do that. No matter what, you always want to just send a character back to your opponent's life in the mirror match, just to like mess up their Queen's ability here. And category is also a good card for going first and second, because going second, you can see it on a curve, but going first, when you hit that 9 down, you can play this card, send back a big threat, and then you can just place a Don on your Queen to gain his ability. You can draw one, or you can get the life, but ideally you want to like be at that matching number 4 cards between your life or your hand, and just pop off from there. And then now we get into our events. We're going to start off with 4 of the Gum Gum Rain. So a nice little utility card. I know some builds running at 2 or 3. I think for this build I need to see it at 4. Just to get rid of like all the bricks and stuff. It's not a bad card. It's pretty much a 2-for-1. One of the only good defensive spells I run in the deck, so I don't run like the yellow Nakama Arrow. It's a good card, but I just don't really want to keep Don up for it. I can like use that Don to like play a bit more aggressive, and this is what helps me like play on the aggressive end, because like I can just keep no Don up and just pitch cards and then gain plus 3k for my leader, and just it's a nice utility card pretty much, and it helps you get to your condition. And to round this off for the events, 3 of the 3,000 Worlds, and then 3 of the Red Rock. So yeah, Zoro, Luffy, the bottom deck boys. Very good removal. Very, very important to see in your Rebecca matchups. Very good into your Whitebeards. Very good into the green purple Dofi. And I thought about bumping these up to 4 each, but I just haven't found the space, honestly. And in future builds of this deck, I'll consider maybe playing at least the 3,000 Worlds at 4. Playing the Red Rock is kind of expensive, but like in the yellow matchup, which this kind of has a rough matchup against yellow, like I may want to consider bumping this up to 4. But there's really nothing else to say about these cards here. You just bottom deck your opponent's threats. You just mess up their tempo, and you just go from there. And with that concludes my deck profile for Queen. This is going up on Perp's channel, so once again, subscribe to him, show him love, comment, like, and subscribe to all his videos. And with that, I'm out. Peace.